Greetings. Hey, it's Susie Q. How the heck are you? What's showing up in your field was illuminating the light that surrounds you. And are you noticing the miracles that are here all the time, working just for you? So today I was going to do a little bit about what an Akashic record might look like, or a past life might look like. And so a lot of times in the QHHT sessions, we do tons and tons of past lives, and also with the Akashic records. So it's interesting and fun. So I was going to just kind of talk about this one in particular. So it's kind of cray cray. It's kind of cray cray, but I think people are ready to go deeper with their state of consciousness and with their ability to receive information, and adapt to what is, adapt to that awareness of being in a state of allowance. So there's a lot of things that are changing, and it's always changing, right? All the energies are so big and so powerful. So there's this one Akashic record that I'd like to share, and it was actually my own Akashic record. And this was back in 2015, and it was so silly, but so I was at, so in the dream state, or in that vision, it was still me, still looked like Susie, right? This is 2015, and I went to this person's place, and it was like an apartment or a house or something. And so I was in kind of that living room, but there was a couple that was in the kitchen, and there was this little area, bar area, so I could see their upper body, right? And so, but I was kind of talking to them, and the woman was gorgeous. She was blonde hair. She reminded me of that Linda Evans. Remember that the 80s, or the 80s deal with those big shoulder blades. And she was a fabulous looking woman. And then she had her partner, or I don't know if it was a husband or person, I don't even know. But he kind of seemed kind of creepy. I was like looking at him going, God, he looks kind of sweaty, and he looks like he's not the right person for her, but it was just kind of amazing. So you had this like beautiful, dazzling woman here. Then you have this guy that looks like he's having a hard time, right? Sweating and kind of ugly. Not ugly, but he just felt dirty or something. And it was just so weird. And then eventually we kept talking, and I was trying to like connect with him in a way. And all of a sudden he started to bring his hands up like this, so I could see his hands. But then what had happened, his hands had been ripped out so he didn't have his hands, they were like ripped out of his arms. So it was like really yucky. So at that very moment, with what we call lucidity, right? Because I'm a lucid dreamer, is that I asked that man to dissolve. And just like clockwork, that it dissolved. That person was gone. It was funny because there was other characters that were in the dream, and nobody said how'd that happen. So it's like everything stops once I go into that lucidity. The whole narrative or the storyline kind of collapses for a moment, and then I could get to put somebody in or take somebody out. But that was pretty interesting. So then it was kind of, I was like going, I can't believe I had the power to do that, right? That was the first time I was able to remove a character from a dream state. And there were other things when I was younger that I could do to kind of divert kind of energies that might be like harming me, or like somebody's chasing me, then I could find a different solution, right? But to dissolve a person was new. So moving forward on that dream, then that woman came out, and so she came out, and she was just fabulously gorgeous, right? And so then she laid on the ground for whatever reason, and then I put my hand kind of like here on her heart. And then this is where it gets even more crazy, is that, so when I put my hand on her heart, she was actually birthing hybrid kind of new beings, hybrid new beings. But when you think about a baby, and she definitely didn't look pregnant, right? But there was a part of her that was kind of pronouncing or bringing in these new hybrid children. And they weren't coming in as babies, they were coming in as kind of maybe like 6 or 7 year old beings that were there, and they looked human, but that's what was going on there. So these are really fascinating states of consciousness when we're looking at some of these lucidity pieces, and clearing some folks out of the scene, and then bringing in some new higher level beings through the hybrid energy. We could say hybrid or stars, maybe some kind of star seed in a way. And so that was really, really fascinating. What was interesting too in that dream state is like it was kind of like in a living room, And then there were people that I personally knew that were there witnessing, so it was kind of fun. I can't remember everybody. I remember some of the people back from 2015. So, but when we go back, to that dream, that dream with that person with his hands, we're just like, ah, it's like so yucky. Is that I went back to my Houston group. It was an energy group down in Houston that helped integrate me with all of my Kundalini stuff that was changing. I had a huge, huge, and oh gosh, really confusing times when I started having so many bandwidths of curiosity, right? And so, but I went back there, and they just said that it was probably a past life. And sure enough, that past life, I was able to see it eventually through the records, and then I could see that I was a man on the ocean, and he was a fisherman, and it was kind of like it was like a kind of an evening thing, or kind of a dreary space where he was at on that ship, and but his hands had got entangled in rope, and that's what happened to him. So he lost his hands and probably lost his life. Maybe, I don't even know exactly what happened to him after that, but his hands were ripped out because of the rope. Through that, it was like a storm or some sort of something tumultuous was happening with the energies or the storm that was coming in. So that was something. When we look at things kind of as bad or mysterious, or it's going to hurt us, but then we realize, well, maybe that was another version from my soul expression. So this is Susie and Susie body, right? But I have a soul, and I've had many lives. So that was just showing, that, even though I dissolved that being because it scared me in the dream state, is it just that awareness that we have so many lives, we have so many different expressions of our own soul journey, right? It's a soul journey. It's so crazy. So, and it's really interesting, even with the hybrid energy. I've got one more record I can do real quick. One more record for my own self was that I was this was another very, very lucid state of dream state, or maybe another level of consciousness. I can't even describe exactly how deep it went. But then this was another one where I was always a real estate broker forever, and then things changed, and my life changed drastically. But then there was another one where it's like maybe a four-level house that I was gifted. And I was gifted this house. And what was interesting is that in the center of the house is where you approached to get to the front door, right? So you had to get to the center of the house. I can't even explain the architecture. And then in the middle of the house, it was kind of, I guess it was kind of a circular house. And in the middle is you had the stairs to the first floor, then you had to go the stairs for the second floor, then you had to go the stairs for the third, and then to the fourth floor. And so I remember the woman that had given me the house, and everything that was in it was for me now. And so then it was kind of interesting because I was like, um, I don't know how this all worked out, but I received it. And so when that woman left, it was another woman, and she had one little suitcase, and she walked away, and that's all she took was her one little suitcase. So then I just kind of was observing all these spaces. And so, that first level to the second to the third and the fourth all had kind of different states of being or states of consciousness. But to just keep this more simple, I will say that I was on the fourth floor, the fourth floor of that house. And at one point, I was looking around, and it was like the stuff was beautiful. It was like kind of like how did she get all this stuff, and why did she leave it for me, right? And so it was kind of interesting. And so eventually I kind of made, I just kind of acknowledged that this is just really awesome, right? And then I noticed on one day there on the fourth floor, the upper floor, is that we had really teeny tiny little hybrids that were coming in. And so even if you think about all those stairs, that's in the out, and even the stairs are on the outside. Okay, so it's an outside stair, kind of like wood stairs, is that what they were walking. And I was like thinking, how did this group of hybrids come in, and they're so small, right? They're so small. I was like, how were they able to do it? I'm sure they probably just kind of maybe floated up. I don't know. But what's interesting is that I really wasn't sure why I got the house, and I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to do. But then immediately I found out that I was working with some of the hybrid energies. And so with the hybrid energies, they would come in, they were really teeny tiny. They were really different looking, right? They kind of like a form a little bit like us, but not really. And then they were completely silent. And I had to kind of when I first started noticing that they were starting to come in that fourth floor, I just kind of kneeled down, and it was more telepathically that I was able to. I don't even know exactly what I was doing, to be honest, because it was like so extreme and strange and different. But that was some of that consciousness that we can get from the Akashic records or even from the QHHT, is to find out some of the other origins that we've been in and some of the other ways that we've been able to assist not only with our planetary school here, but even while we're here on this planet, we're still able to assist other beings that may need a little bit of assistance. Maybe they were assisting me. I can't even really, kind of discern, were they infusing energy for me or was I infusing energy for them? I just know that there was a bunch of them and they were teeny tiny. So it's really fun. So all of these things that we're doing to help people now is we want to look at insights. So let's say with the insight with that man with his hands, that we can find more compassion for a person. We don't have to judge another person. He was sweaty and wasn't really, he looked really like a mess, right? But then we can find compassion and we can find love for that person because maybe that was part of my soul arrangement, right? So I got to have a witness. I had to witness myself to see that something what I thought was kind of heinous was actually a part of me. What part of me, you know, looks like that sometimes, and what part of me gets really harmed by things that were accidents. So we can really find that sense of compassion and love. And even with those hybrids, coming in, like what part of me, was birthed, and what part of me, and what star system am I from, right? And all of these different things, even the little hybrids at that four level place, is that they were seeking to go higher, 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 like to the upper room. They wanted to go to the upper room, possibly for me for us to telepathically communicate. A lot of these conversations with these beings, there's no words, so it's all kind of just thought. It's all thought and all love, really. So when they came in, those little bitty beings, I would just get as low as I could because I still had the body that I have, and then I would just kind of lean in, right? And sometimes it was just like looking at them, like I'm looking at you right now, is that we have that moment to have compassion and to have a sense of love of one another. And when we really love one another, we know that we love ourselves as well. So we want that beautiful self love to really be shown. And the evidence is in a lot of these Akashic records or the QHHT sessions is that we see so much brilliance of love and light and compassion and understanding. There's so many beautiful energies with that. So I think I'm complete. This has been fun. I shared a couple of records for you, and that's a little bit of the work that I do. So sending you so much love and namaste.